First off, rest in peace, neighborhood nip. I ain't crip, but I'm on that neighborhood shoot. Building business, it's that black owned. If you hustle, better hustle till your pack gone. If you work, better work till your back hurt. And if you rap, make it better than your last verse. Yeah, more lyrics. Stick and move, Javante Davis.
AJ, El Presidente, Eddie Kane University. Hill gon' heal, regardless. You, Buchanan, Bethel High School, by way of 3-Man Weave, LLC.
Michelle, producer, Eighth Overseer.
You can catch this wave from the Marlins to the Mariners. Doing things you can't believe. It's the 3-Man Weave.
What's up? What up?
What's happening?
What's going on, good people out there? It is we're gonna be your two favorite guys tonight, but we are the 3-Man Weave podcast. This is episode 182?
182, man.
182. Oh man, we're gonna be at 200 before we look up, man.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
It's gonna be crazy. I want to thank everybody that's going to be joining the live. I want to thank everybody that's going to watch the playback. If you watching now, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. We are broadcast on all major podcast platforms, 3-Man Weave, Instagram, Twitter, 3-Man Weave _. You can email us at podcast.3.man.weave@gmail.com. I am Hill, and Hill gonna heal regardless. Let's get it.
And I am. You got AJ. Football season is officially over. We in the draft prep. You know what I mean? We had a great season. Too bad, the Super Bowl got canceled, but it's, things happen. We've seen 2 canceled games this season. That's something that we've never seen before, but it is what it is. We had a good season. Great job, NFL. Great job for all the people who participated. See y'all next year.
We're gonna talk about that later on when we get into it, man. But I'm already annoyed with draft season already. But we'll get there. Like it's already an annoying process. Oh man, what's crazy? I've been seeing a lot of stories about like people impersonating like high schoolers or students going back to their school, playing a sport, or going back to school, period, just doing anything. And I'm like, all right, it's a story, it is what it is, it's funny for the moment, but this particular story hit a little different because it happened at my high school, bro. Like, bro, getting the news and then getting more and more details, it was just it's crazy, but like it hits home because this is my high school, bro. Like, man, if y'all don't know, Churchland High School, Portsmouth, Virginia, had a 22-year-old impersonator student. She went to play JV, junior varsity basketball, impersonated a 13-year-old student that was away out of town, and they showed some of her highlights. She had a massive block.
Get her Maya Moore on. That's disgusting.
I'm sitting there like, yo, she's huge. Like we don't like nobody stopped her or nothing. Like nobody said nothing. Like
so
she didn't look 13 at all. Like
at all. That's illegal. That's someone should have fought her. Because and when I say that, I mean a parent, because get your grown ass out of here, man. Like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this
at all.
And
I think the funniest part about it though is that from rumors I've heard, bro, she only had 13 points, yo. So it's no way this is worth it, bro. Like you didn't even get off, like.
At least go for 40 and be a legend.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at least get yours.
And then my thing is, bro, it's JV. It's JV. So it's like you 22. You out here on the JV squad, swatting and everything, bro. Even Pat Bev was putting up points in high school. You out here in JV. I'm expecting to see, like, I need to see some Cheryl Miller type numbers with your grown ass. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. And I'm glad she got fired. Well, I'm not. She deserved to get fired.
Yeah,
she deserved to get fired. I'm upset that they suspended the season for that JV team because, bro, them 13-year-old kids, bro. Them 13-year-old kids.
They shouldn't have been penalized.
The coach and that, I guess, I believe she was an equipment manager or a part of the coaching staff or something. They should be gone.
Yeah.
They should be gone. They should get a science teacher, a math teacher, or somebody to come coach that JV team and allow them to still play. That way, some of them, if they turn out to be good enough, they can get up to, the varsity, get a couple games and stuff like that. But their season should not be suspended. Can you put up Deuce comment real quick about Pat Bev in the league?
Yeah.
This wasn't no like disrespect. This was saying like Pat Bev not a scorer in the NBA. But when he was in high school,
dropped 38 on people.
He dropped a 38 because he's still good enough to be in the league. You 22 years old playing on JV and you getting 13 points. That's what I'm saying. She should be ashamed. That's what I'm talking about with Pat Bev. Like, we don't even look at Pat Bev like she was in there as a defensive stopper on JV at 22. Like, nah, get some buckets with your grown ass.
You know the kicker? They lost.
Oh, hell no.
They still lost.
Hey,
they still lost, bro. This is a tarnish, a stain on my city right now. We're gonna have to take this L.
Yeah, I'm about to say
multiple.
Yeah, we go back and forth about Portsmouth and Cincinnati. This is a bad L right here.
Yeah, we're gonna hold that one right now.
This is a lot of smut on the resume right here.
Yeah,
I can't even hold you.
Yeah, we definitely go. I can't defend it. You know what? Hey, throw my hands up, my brother. I can't defend it. But one thing I do know about getting off, I remember I got a funny quick story. I used to substitute, when I back in Petersburg. I used to substitute teach. And one day I was a gym teacher. I was a gym teacher for the elementary. You know what I'm saying? So I was in there looking like Shaq when we hoop.
You should.
As I'm supposed to. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to be in there dominating the paint because y'all is little. You know what I'm saying? So when I went back to the elementary, I handled business. You know what I'm saying? I let them know who it was. That was, you know what I'm saying, barbecue chicken in the post. Nobody wanted smoke. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what she was doing. She had to be trash when she was a youngin.
Yeah.
13 points.
Yeah, no, we don't do that here. We're not allowing you to just you should be, hey, get on my back, y'all. We about to win this game. Yeah. Y'all lost. So you a grown ass woman, bro. She should still have to do suicides. Like, she should have to go out there, do suicides for every point that they lost by.
I think a lot of people, and the sad thing about it is, like, my school has definitely took a turn for the positive note, like in athletics, like, like they definitely been, competing at a higher level. And this right here is definitely, like I said, it's a stain on the resume, bro. Like, it's nasty, and it shouldn't be this way in the city. And then, like, some of the parents, they not upset enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, they just want an apology. Nah, I need something. I need something more than that. Like I said, them girls that that they definitely didn't deserve to have their season suspended for something that they did not do. This is an isolated incident from two adults. You know what I'm saying? Collaborating.
Exactly.
Nah, they should be held to the highest extent when it comes to the punishment. And it is what it is. But like I said, my city got to hold his L on that one.
100%. This is indefensible. It's unacceptable.
No,
And
she deserves criminal charges a year
what
for every point they lost.
what happened to the Bishop Sycamore dudes? Because that's what we need to start working on that for them. Whatever they got, she need to get that too.
Well, don't they got a documentary coming?
Yeah, she don't deserve a documentary.
No. I'm talking about Bishop Sycamore. Yeah, she didn't do enough. You only dropped 13, so you don't even get a documentary. Blame the coach for letting her play. No way the administration. I heard that the AD was sick. He wasn't at the game, so a lot of people weren't there. Like once again, we got to keep in mind that it was JV. It's only parents there and a couple friends there. The game wasn't packed as you saw. And if you look on Baller Alert, see the highlight. Like really wasn't a lot of people there, but like from what I was
JV
told,
game.
yeah.
How many people ever really show up for?
But like, so you think about like the administration, like somebody should have a red flag should have went off. Like, bro, who is this? Like, get this Brittany Griner out of here. Like, come on, man. But from what I was told, that the AD, he was not there. He was homesick. So I guess that's why they pulled the fast one, since they knew somebody of authority wasn't going to be there. It was a well thought out plan. I heard she was dared.
No, it wasn't, because they lost. How was it
Absolutely.
thought out?
Yeah. I mean, I heard it was a dare from students. Like, I dare you won't, playing the game, and she let students, corrupt her mind. Hey, 22, young and dumb.
How you dumber than the dumber the teenagers? They supposed to be the dumb ones and not developed, and just the teenagers, and it makes sense in my head. Let's see if she'll play, and you go along with it, bro.
Go along with it.
Oh man.
Man, but we go.
And this is people and these people voting for our leadership in America.
I've been saying that. I say that because at work I see a lot of people that's slow. I'm like, hold on, bro. And when I mean slow, I'm like, these are definitely perfectly mentally people. These are 100% healthy people. But they're in prominent, powerful positions, and these people are slow. These people are stupid. I'm like, these people are making decisions for the country. I see these people every day.
And boy, I wish, because standardized testing would be so damn racist. I wish we could figure out a way to have a standardized test that would be inclusive, and we could just weed out all the dumb folks. But it ain't gonna work that way. It's gonna be targeted, and then we gonna get the short end of the stick, just like we do in other jobs.
We'll say, is that the segue?
Nah, that's just a little teaser, because we get the more important stuff is the football games from this weekend.
We'll go to that. Now just go to the coaches. Let's talk about the coaches first.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the big one. The big fish got hooked. Pause. The coach that everybody wanted, the coach that was on everybody's radar. He was the big fish. Mm-hmm. Sean Payton is reportedly headed to Mile High. What you think about it?
I think it's a slam dunk hire for the Broncos, for what they need, for what Russell Wilson needs, for what this entire team needs. Obviously Nathaniel Hackett couldn't hack it. So he was.
Why did I say that in my head too?
he was terrible. He definitely wasn't the one for the job. Previously, Vic Fangio, his time was up. They needed somebody to. They made a full off commitment to Russ without seeing Russ.
Right.
So they have to find somebody that can fix Russ. And if Sean Payton can't fix Russ,
what you say about Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah. And I think I mean this like 10 times fold, because we've seen Sean Payton. I think a lot of people have been holding Sean Payton at a high esteem based off what he did his last year with the quarterbacks that he did, the stuff that he did with Jameis. He did have Andy Dalton, and he had another quarterback, and he still ended up going like 8-8 or 8-9.
I think it was like 7-9.
So it was something close. It was something respectable from what he had at the quarterback position, we were like, man, okay, we can see even he had
Right.
Taysom Hill, doing some things. Um, from a skill set standpoint, he definitely fits some of the mold. He was compared to Drew Brees. So some of the things that Sean Payton did with Drew Brees, he should be able to implement uh for Russ. The personnel, Cortland Sutton, he fits some of the wide receiver mold that Sean Payton has had in New Orleans. Jerry Jeudy should benefit from an offensive mind like Sean Payton. Hopefully Javonte Williams can come back healthy. They can, maybe they'll make some moves, some personnel moves in free agency to shore up some of this offensive line. This defense is ready, prime. They just need mistake-free football. They need some points. And what we do know from Sean Payton's team, his team is going to put up some points. They're going to compete. I'm not saying that, not gonna go as far as they go back to the Super Bowl. They back down in square. They're back in the square root. Back at the bottom. They from the ground up. They got to build this thing up. But I do, like I said, I do think it's a slam dunk hire from a personnel standpoint, from what they need. What's your thoughts, my brother?
I'm torn because I don't know if I can go to a slam dunk hire just yet. Because I understand that the Broncos, they were that, just a quarterback away.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get Russ, and this team looks terrible. They look like they have no idea what they're doing. No sense. Go ahead.
No. I mean to cut you. Go ahead.
And I know that a lot of that can be contributed to Nathaniel Hackett, but damn, at some points, it didn't look like they should be an NFL team. Like they look at points, they did look like one of the worst teams in the NFL, and it was very confusing. And the reason why I say I won't go a slam dunk hire is because I don't know what I'm not going to just jump out the window and say Sean Payton is this 20 plus, like he's worth $20 million a year and some draft picks yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because y'all already traded draft picks and some players to get Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so now what are we going to do to be able to make this team better? And I don't know if just Sean Payton walking in the door is going to do that.
Well, the first thing that he needs to do is give the defensive coordinator. He need to keep him. He need to keep him intact.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what you were saying was absolutely right for when you speak of the offensive side of the ball. This defense just needed some form of offense, bro. This defense was an elite defense,
of course.
And like I say, they just needed some type of offense to alleviate some of the mishaps of what they were doing on the offense. So what you do, like I said, do I believe that he's worth 20 million? I don't believe as a coach on this God Green's earth that's worth 20 million. But I do know that. I mean, yeah, they gave up compensation for Russ. They gave up compensation for Sean Payton. But what they needed to do was right their wrong from missing on Nathaniel Hackett. The Walmart family, the Waltons, need to spend. They gonna have to spend some money. They not about to just buy the Broncos and hopefully that they trash. And we've seen it with lesser teams. A good coach can make lesser players better. A good system can just make you competent. And what we've seen for a large portion of this team last year, they just need something on offense.
Of course.
And based off what he did his last year in New Orleans with a multitude of quarterbacks, it's like, bro, you should be able to fix Russ. Russ is not that damn broken that he's just unfixable, in my opinion.
Okay. I was gonna say, we just got to see if he's cooked or not, because he has to be able to really play to Russ's strengths. If he can't play to Russ' strengths, then Russ gonna be out there looking cooked. If they can, but what I can say is if Russ can still get his deep ball going and Sean Payton can get back to that vertical style offense, and then some of their running backs come back healthy and they can run the ball. Mm-hmm. They might do something, but at the end of the day, they still in the AFC West, so it's gonna be tough for them.
Oh,
but
sure.
I think that I don't necessarily see them, just like they're immediately last anymore.
The main thing he brings is stability, and that's key. That is key. That is major. You know, that's major for a lot of people. Because like I said, some of them players might just been looking trash. Like, bro, it's Nathaniel Hackett, bro. You can't. What you always say. You can't motivate me to make a sandwich. You know what I'm saying? And possibly he probably could motivate them to make a damn sandwich. We seen it.
Especially after you getting your ass kicked like that, like they was.
But we seen
scoring 12 points.
We seen Sean Payton as a head coach. We seen him work with Drew Brees, and like I said, we can always just hold him. You know, oh well, what'd you do with Drew Brees? We seen him go undefeated with Teddy Bridgewater. You know what I'm saying? We seen him, like I said, I keep going back to his last year. We seen him going out there with Jameis, Andy Dalton, with somebody else, another dude, and then Taysom Hill. Like he had a multitude of quarterbacks.
God, I can't wait for Taysom Hill to retire.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
no, absolutely.
I feel like Taysom Hill was the most overrated player of the last like 2 to 3 years, and because he got so hyped up, he's not good
at all.
People really was out here telling us that he should be their quarterback. Fans of the team, Sean Militello.
You know, Sean is going to shine.
Regardless, damn it.
But I mean, it's things to see. We definitely got to see what they're going to do in free agency. You said they're not going to be last. Oh yeah, because the Raiders going to be last.
Because the Raiders.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we got that. So, but we're not ready to bump them up to at least. We're not even ready to bump them up to the Chargers level. Just, as
not yet. Not yet.
And like I said, we all know that the class of that division is Chiefs, and they don't seem like they're going away anytime soon. So
absolutely,
it's definitely going to be tough sledding. But obviously he wanted a change of scenery. He took his break. He was trash on TV, bro. He was trash on TV.
Terrible.
Like
terrible.
So I knew
he was coming. He was coming back for certain. They was like, "Hey, you got to go, dog."
It was looking shaky though. It was definitely looking shaky because, like I said, you know personally, and we had personal conversation. You know how many times I changed the head coaching prediction list?
Yeah, definitely.
And I had to take him off, thinking that he was just going to wait another year. But it was obviously like you said, he just ready to get up out of New Orleans, and like I said, change the scenery. A change of scenery may be a breath of fresh air for him. Like I said, Russell Wilson definitely needs a credible coach that's going to buy into Russell Wilson's strength. He's going to hold him, but he's also going to hold him accountable. It's not going to be this tick for tack like him and Pete Carroll. Like I don't think it's going to be that type of relationship.
And for me, Pete Carroll, I don't think he did right by Russ. Like towards the latter years, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At least we got a first. I don't think Pete Carroll did like, because something in that entire Seattle Seahawks organization like just turned on Russ.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous to me, because say what you want, Russ saved that franchise. Remember, they paid Matt Flynn.
Yes.
People forget that. So say what you want. Say, oh, we should have had 2 Super Bowls, this, and that. You got one, and a lot of places don't. Trust me. And you were relevant for a long time, and you were looked at as contenders for a long time. So say what you want. You got all those defensive players coming out. Imagine never having Russ. Y'all be out there talking like Nick Bosa. How we supposed to win without a quarterback? So I understand that y'all frustrated. Hey, but look, man,
I don't get why they were frustrated. But I mean, like I say, some personal issues or some team issues that happen. But like I said, I'm already tuned in to Richard Sherman's podcast. I'm definitely tuned in to Richard Sherman's podcast next year to see how he responds to, let's say that Rush, isn't cooked. Mm-hmm. Let's say, he returns to form because of Sean Payton. He's playing well. I just can't wait to see some of the rhetoric that Richard Sherman is going to say. So I'm definitely, tuned in. And I, like you say, from an outside perspective, we definitely agree they did Russ dirty. But I can't say that these guys is lying, because a lot of them feel the exact same way. It's like almost one person. It might have been Bobby Wagner, the only one that I've heard defend Russ. Like I even heard Tyler Lockett say something crazy about Russ. It's like, come on now. It's like it's a whole long list of everybody turned on Russ.
I just feel like it's just easy to pick on Russ.
He is.
and I was guilty of it too.
It's because
But
it's
damn
fun.
it got bad at a point where I'm like, damn, everybody, bro.
I got Sean. I don't think Russ is washed. Sean Payton is someone he needed. I predict a top 10 quarterback play. That's my prediction. I'm like say Sean gonna go. Sean, bro.
As long as he didn't say top 5, I'm cool.
Top 10. It ain't hard to get in the top 10 once she was close to it before.
Right. Yeah. Especially because that 7 through 15 kind of muddled anyway.
That's fact. That's it's nasty in there. I mean,
yeah.
Look good. But we had another hire. I think we're going to get more hires. Now that Super Bowl week.
Yeah, it's starting to push off.
A lot of chips is falling.
So DeMeco Ryans, defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, apparently actually turned down that Walmart family and said, "Hey, I'm going to H-Time, baby." So
hey, hold on, that wasn't the only job that he turned down. He turned down a lot of interviews this offseason.
Yes, definitely. He definitely was turning down a lot of interviews. He turned down the Broncos. He turned down
the Cardinals, I believe.
He definitely turned down the Cardinals. Did he? He didn't interview for the Colts, did he?
I'm not sure that he interviewed. Did he?
I don't think he interviewed.
But he turned down. I do know he turned down the Panthers as well.
Yes.
So these are interviews that he just blatantly turned down because he was waiting for, I guess, the right job. And for him personally, like say, former player for the Texans. So I think he played there a long time. So I'm pretty sure that they're near and dear to his heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So what'd you say?
No, I was reading the comments, so I was
But yeah, so upon this hire, after it's kind of played back to some of the questions that we had. A couple of the fours and the Forest faithful had some thoughts to say about the hire. Our guy Soprano, he talked about we can't be picky talking about Black coaches' lack of head coaching opportunities, and then when one gets hired, say he shouldn't have taken the job. Like they grow on trees or some shit. Congrats to DeMeco Ryans. Go be great. And our guy, Marcus Farmer, he in the chat right now, so it's no better time. He said, for all those who claim DeMeco Ryans shouldn't have taken the Texans job, what would you rather him have do? 1. 2, what other head coach opportunities were available to him sincerely?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. And then 3, Byron. We gonna get to all of these, very like in order, but I just want to read them out. Okay. He say number 3, Byron Leftwich turned down the Jacksonville job for better opportunity, and where is he now? 4, we can't complain about lack of opportunities and then complain when it isn't the ideal one. 5, he signed a 6-year deal. If they want to fire him and pay off that contract, then that's on them. I'm sure he will visit Thailand with like Cliff Kingsbury and collect that check. 6, y'all are exhausting. So
it's a lot to unpack here, right?
It's a lot to unpack, and we could start with
this one.
Yes. So brother's supposed to take just anything, huh? And so we can package that with Farmer's, statements 1 and 2. What would you rather him do? And 2, what other head coach opportunities were available to him sincerely? So
we stated that he turned down numerous jobs, and to answer this in particular, he did say, "Do we know those were Rooney Rule interviews?" No, because he has been highly touted as one of those coaching prospects, one of those top coaching prospects. We definitely know that the defensive coaches have a tough time. Any race has a tough time as a defensive coach getting a head coach. So when you're highly touted as one of those ones that's in line for a head coaching job, this in particular was not necessarily a Rooney Rule interview, but like I said,
but it does satisfy the Rooney Rule.
But it does satisfy. Let's be clear about that. It's been reported that the Broncos wanted DeMeco Ryans as well. They wanted him as well, and he turned that job down because, like I said, a few episodes ago, I think it was me and Cannon, we we've ranked the jobs, and we definitely did state that these jobs are nasty. But I was one of the ones that did say the Texans job is appealing for a lot of reasons. They have a lot of draft capital and they have a lot of cash space, and they do have pieces. So you take into account of what I just said, and you take account of he's a former player. He's from, he played there for a long time. They may be near and dear to his heart. This may be his dream job when it came available. So for the answer to the first one, what would I rather him do? I'm okay with him taking this job. This is an isolated incident, to be quite honest. Even though we could look at the past, and look at David Culley got a 5-year deal. We could look at Lovie Smith got a deal, and they both paying both of those now. They paying them outright for not being there.
Exactly. And so for me, this isn't one of those cases where it's just like, oh, you have this job offer, you need to take it regardless because of, where this is. And so you saw kind of, like we say, a lot of times the black coach gets the job to do the cleanup. And when things start, going on the uptick, they'll move them out in the net. That's when they'll start doing another job search. And then you have the draft capital, you have the cap space cleared, and you have the maneuverability, to bring in pieces, bring in free agents and the draft capital. DeMeco Ryans was one of the top candidates. So, say what you want, like this right here. So was Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if Eric Bieniemy was ever a top candidate because so many people have complained about him throughout the throughout the NFL. Go ahead.
But when it comes to Eric Bieniemy, he never turned down any interview.
Exactly.
He never turned down any interview. Any interview he's been requested, he's been taken.
And he's never turned down a job offer.
So that's the thing. So he's been actually trying to get hired. He hasn't been hired. So I mean,
so that takes me into the next point that Mark Farmer made about number 3. Byron Leftwich turned down the Jacksonville job for a future better opportunity and where he is now. This is completely different because I don't know if Byron Leftwich was as coveted as DeMeco Ryans is. And the thing about, being extremely coveted, yes, Byron Leftwich was a former, player for Jacksonville. But there were things there were things that he didn't like about, what they would, concessions that he would have to make when it would come to taking that job. And so he didn't take it. And that is important because if you don't like the GM that you're working with, you have to work in tandem with that person to get players. And so if you guys aren't on the same page, one of y'all gonna end up going anyway, and then it's gonna be a revolving door. From the looks of it, with DeMeco Ryans signing this 6-year deal, it's almost as if he is able to kind of be like, hey, like he came in and was like, hey, these are the things that I'm requesting, and he has an ability because I guarantee you, if Houston fires another black coach within a year or two, they gonna be in hell. Like it's gonna be a firestorm because a lot of shit is gonna come their way. It don't mean that it's going to affect them, but you're going to be paying 3 coaches and none of them are going to be, doing any work for you. So I think that DeMeco Ryans being so highly touted, he was able to request a lot more in this situation. And, Marcus says, I believe he's talking about Leftwich when he got the offer, or he may be talking about,
no, he's talking about Byron Leftwich.
Okay. So if he is talking about Byron Leftwich, he might be talking about Eric Bieniemy. But if he's talking about Byron Leftwich, it's different because when Byron Leftwich was getting those offers, he was in the same boat as Eric Bieniemy, where people were saying, "But that's Bruce Arians' offense. This is DeMeco Ryans' defense." Even though he came behind Robert Saleh, there was no question of his imprint was on this, what he did, people can't question. It doesn't and it's not just like, oh, this is my fault.
Oh yeah.
This is just him being a part of, the game plan, but he don't call plays, he don't do this. And they couldn't take that away from him. So if he's got, that control and that, that discussion of, hey, these are the things that we're going to do, and they have the buy-in under that 6-year deal, that's important.
When it comes to Byron Leftwich, and like I said, he made a request for, a different GM. He didn't want to work with that particular GM. a lot of coaches come in with a lot of requests, a lot of things of, you know, this is what I want and this is what I want in place. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to work with. If not, you know, I have control of my staff. There's a lot of things they have in order. There's a lot of things that they request, and either you accept it or you don't. Byron Leftwich chose to not accept this. He chose not to accept working with Trent Baalke in Jacksonville. He chose to go back to a situation that he was familiar with. Now we all understand that he had no business being fired. That's a different situation. So I wouldn't say that we can use hindsight and say, look, man, you should just took the Jacksonville job and see what was going on. Now look at yourself, you're fired. We could definitely use that as hindsight and you know, and use that as you know, as a point. But we can't. I think everything is different because, like you said, DeMeco Ryans was highly touted last year, to be quite honest, you know, as a defensive coordinator. And once again, being as a defensive coordinator, like you said, you almost got to do this again.
Exactly.
And you got to utilize. I mean, if you don't get what you want, you know, utilize your leverage. Look at Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn kept going on interviews, and next thing you know it, keep going back to Dallas. Now he's getting handsomely paid in Dallas, so he has the comfortability to just say, you know what, I ain't got to take this job. But he's also utilizing his privilege of, I ain't got to take this job.
Exactly. Because
so back to the premise. Yeah, go ahead.
And then just what I wanted to slip in here is pause. But one thing that I've kind of learned is it's a lot easier to bounce back as a coordinator and then gets, you know, like back in consideration for head coaching jobs than if you become a head coach and you flame out. Especially if you like a minority. Like if Byron Leftwich takes that Jacksonville job, they look terrible. He might have trouble getting an OC job again, let alone getting a head coaching job. If he goes back and gets, you know, goes somewhere, goes to be a quarterback coach, goes to be an OC somewhere, and he has that success again, he will be in consideration again just because of how much people love offense. And then it'll be away from Bruce Arians, and then he could show like, hey, like I know what I'm doing. But had he taken that Jacksonville job for real and just flamed out, we might not hear his name ever again.
But it goes to the flip side of a lot of coaches that necessarily a lot of other coaches, they pick and choose where they want to go. It's not necessarily they're just giving a bad job. Look at Brian Daboll. A lot of people thought he was going to get the Chargers job, and he went back to Buffalo and ended up ultimately, you know, choosing to be the Giants head coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like he was highly touted. He was one of the number one rated, you know, potential head coaches. So you had the luxury of, nah, I'm not going to take that interview. Nah, I'm not going to do this. You know, no, I'm not going to do that. But oh, boom, that job right there, that's the one I want. Yeah, I can go for that. A lot of those coaches have that luxury of picking and choosing where they go, and it's normally from the top job. They normally get a pick and choose from the top job, and normally when we get awarded a job, it's normally one of these jobs that, bro, why did you take this job? This is nasty.
And you know the biggest discrepancy between the white coaches and the minority coaches, the black coaches, they have to really go through all the levels and prove themselves, and they don't have the ability to make those mistakes. They really have to, you know, be vetted. White coaches have the privilege to get hired too soon and make mistakes and work through it. Brandon Staley shouldn't have been a head coach yet
at all,
but they gave, like, he has the ability to work through them and grow as a head coach. Zach Taylor shouldn't have been a head coach when he became a head coach, but he was able to have the security and work through it. You get what I'm saying? And so black coaches aren't afforded that. And so when it comes to it, it's just like, you got to hit the ground running or you gone. Like,
yeah,
we look at it up in Detroit. You saw Jim Caldwell take them to the playoffs, have 7 to 9 seasons, and the trajectory looked great. Not, I won't say great, but for Detroit, it was better than what they had in a long time. Get him up out of here. Matt Patricia come in here. It would look like Matt Patricia don't know what the fuck he doing.
And they kept giving him opportunities. Matt Patricia wasn't ready to be a head coach, but gave him all they had the patience with him that they didn't have with Jim Caldwell. Same with Brian Flores down in Miami. It's like, hey, you got to come in here and do it. Oh, 8-8? Nah, we can't have that. You got to go, dog. Excuse me? Like, what was y'all doing? It's the situation that we're put in. It's like, okay, a lot of these Rooney Rule interviews, are just, placeholders or, check marks on the list. So it's like, I know we have conversations of what we're going to do with the Rooney Rule, and do we need the Rooney Rule? Should we get rid of the Rooney Rule? That's how we hold the Rooney Rule accountable. It's like, okay, bro, if I don't see myself as a viable candidate, I'm not going on this interview. Or if I don't want this job, period, I'm not going on this interview. And I mean, I get it. These are jobs. It's only 32 jobs. Like I said, it's far few between. It's very limited. And like I said, we won't get it. But I mean, at some point, we're going to have to take a stand and do something different.
And that's my thing. When it's just like, hey, bro, I'm a running back coach, and y'all trying to bring me in for a head coach interview.
Knowing good, goddamn.
Bro, don't play in my face like that. Like, it's like at some point we had and I know people like to be like, oh, Mike Tomlin came in and he just wowed them and everything like that, and this, it's been history ever since. That's what Django say. I am that 1 in 10,000. That shit don't happen, bro. Like, that shit don't happen, and so it's kind of got to be at a point where it's just like, even if I'm on the staff, y'all can't just use me so y'all can go hire, Sean McVay homie or Kyle Shanahan homie. Like, we need to, I need to, if anything, it needs to be a mutual beneficial conversation. It ain't like you're not about to just use me for a Rooney Rule a Rooney Rule interview, and you just come in and you ask me, 2 questions and you consider that an interview. We need to I need to be given a full interview so I know what it's like to go through the head coaching interview process. So if and when I do come up for a head coaching position, I have some head coaching interview, experience in my background, so I can be prepared and I can be on that same playing field. And you're not just using me like, hey, we just want to talk to you about the head coaching position. What do you think about it? Oh, oh yeah, I'd be interested. Okay, we'll be in contact. No, I need to run the full gamut like you would be interviewing an actual head coach.
I mean, just specifically speaking on this team, like I said, we talk about David Culley when he got the job. That boy been in the league for how long? He was in the league for like 30 years at one point, and this was his first head coaching interview. This was his first head coaching job. Like, why did they give him that job? We knew it was terrible to begin with. And like you say, like, man, who is he to turn down the job? Absolutely. Who is he to turn down the job?
Because remember, when David Culley got hired, I actually, was on his side of that one because, bro, you've been in the league 30 years and you've never progressed past a position coach.
Yeah.
Go get that head coach money real quick, dog.
Go ahead, get it.
Go get it. You could retire after that. But someone like Byron Leftwich or DeMeco Ryans who has a coaching career ahead of them, you gotta make the smart play. And sometimes that fast money that's right in front of you ain't always the good money.
That's why the same thing they did the same thing with Lovie Smith. Like I said, I mean, hey, they fired Lovie just to hire his replacement just because they didn't want to lose his replacement in Tampa Bay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's very weird. But like I said, he ended up getting the job from Illinois and won't do nothing in Illinois. But they knew they couldn't hire anybody else. They couldn't hire their homeboy. They were like, no, we can't set you up right. We can't set you up like this. We can't set you up like this. But like I said, every incident, every situation is definitely, its own situation. This definitely now is a positive situation at some point. Like you said, they do have the draft capital. They do have certain pieces in certain areas. They do have cap space. he definitely has a system that he can implement that should be easy to learn, should be easy to adapt to. I'm not saying that they're about to all of a sudden become the 49ers defense, but he has some pieces in place.
You got some corners out there, you know what I mean?
Do some things like you say, you got some draft capital. You know, you say you trade back, trade up, trade. You definitely need a quarterback. Yeah. Oh yeah, what's up with Quinn Shot? He hasn't left yet. Jerry probably slipped him a note and said, "You on deck, my boy," because he is.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he is. But once again, he has leverage. He has he wanted the Denver job. He thought he was getting the Denver job, and then next thing you know, they swooped in and gave Nathaniel Hackett the job because they thought they could trade for Aaron Rodgers. That's why he didn't get the job last year. So he curved the Broncos this year, but he also went on a lot of interviews this year, and he realized, he said, okay, these head coaching jobs, they aren't really better than my coordinating job. And I'm getting paid. He was still getting paid from Atlanta, I think, last year.
Yeah.
He was still getting paid from Atlanta. And like I said, Jerry definitely boosted that. He's getting paid head coaching money. So he's in a situation different from others. Like I said, he has the luxury of, hey, I can wait for that job that I really want.
Don't fuck up, my boy.
Or I can wait till McCarthy mess this thing up.
Don't fuck up, my boy.
I can just change my office, change my pocket spot.
Give me the one with the view. I want to see that big screen out there, boy.
Because it's definitely inevitable. Like you say, he dodged one bullet because Mike McCarthy had that Sean Payton news and in his back. He had the Kellen Moore rumors definitely slewing. So, but now he still got that Dan Quinn still. Everybody love Dan Quinn, so he got to get it done. We know he on the hot seat. So.
Yeah, and I've always say once you fire a coordinator, you next. you the next step.
What they say? You like baseball? You on deck.
You on deck.
For what, the upper room?
The upper room. You on deck. The upper room. Yeah. Hey, bro. Since that dropped on Netflix, dog, I have been watching that like once a day, bro.
That is the classic.
Yeah. And you heard the rumor?
Yeah. It made sense, but but for people that don't know the rumor, they saying that Life is the sequel to Harlem Nights. Got some, it makes some sense.
It definitely has some validity to it, especially when you kind of see how it all ended. Ray, the name and all of that and stuff, and he was a hustler and all of that. So it makes sense. Time frame kind of makes sense and everything. Like, but it is what it is. We go now it's time for the recap, my brother. And we can definitely go in order of the game on how they were played. The 49ers and the Eagles. All right, I'm gonna say it.
Go ahead.
Did Kyle Shanahan like sell his soul or something? Like, why can't none of his players stay healthy? Like every year he has a devastating injury.
Yeah,
that throws a wrench. Like, I've never in my life seen something like this where it's just like, ever since he's been a head coach of the 49ers, I feel like somebody has went down. And damn near feel like the quarterback every year.
Yeah, I mean they training staff definitely needs to be on. They need to be fired. They need a whole new training staff. They need a whole new facility. They need to figure out something because, like you said, I don't know what he got to do, to just get a healthy quarterback at some point. But we're gonna touch on what they're gonna do in the off season. But for the game aspect, man, I mean, they just unraveled, bro. Like, I've never seen them unravel like this. A 49ers team under Kyle Shanahan normally been a disciplined team, normally been, cohesive. They understood the game plan, even if, they, like I said, they used to be quarterbacks getting injured. But like
it's different, bro.
If anybody understand their frustration, I understand it.
Because look, I'm gonna tell you, I tell you all the time, like, when you talk about they unraveled, I don't blame them. Because when you are one game away from the Super Bowl and you see Josh Johnson grabbing his helmet and warming up, you're like, oh, bro, we smoke. Like I tell you all the time, in 2005, when Carson Palmer, as soon as he hit the ground and they flashed John Kitna, bro, I almost dropped. Like, bro, I shed a thug tear, dog. I'm like, oh, it's over. This is it. It's done. We cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And bro, and that's what it is. Like, bro, you can only
do so much, bro.
You can only do so much, bro. You was on your third string quarterback and made it to the NFC Championship game. Bro, Josh Johnson, he done played for the Alabama Roughnecks. Everybody, dog. Like, who hasn't he played for? Yeah. And I would have unraveled too, man. Like, and then he handed him the ball right before halftime. We all was like, wait, how the fuck they get 21?
Yeah, that's the part. I still didn't even see that part. I'm like, bro, let me go ahead and go to the grocery store right quick. And next thing you know, I come back, they scored. My thing about the Eagles, though, Eagles had an amazing game plan. When it come to attacking the 49ers in the running game, I've never seen the 49ers get ran on like that. You know.
Yeah.
I get it. They was worn down. They was on the field all day. You know, I get it, but still, like, you know, to have your quarterback to play the pretty much the entire game and only throw for 121 yards, and for have everybody, and you know, he only rushed for 39 yards. Like you said, he played mistake-free football. That was exactly what this team needed. Please just don't mess this up. Like you said, just don't mess this up.
Bro, Josh Johnson over there, bro. Like, hey,
but everybody was running though.
Bro, exactly. But that's the thing. Everybody running because he already spotted us 21.
Yeah.
Bro, we chilling. We gonna pound this thing. We gonna get the fuck up out of here.
So yeah, I definitely, I felt, I seen a couple 49ers fans felt, they felt robbed from, opportunity to see what they could really do against, it was a clash of the Titans of, the class of the NFC, two best teams, top to bottom.
For me, I don't feel like the 49ers fans should feel robbed because to me, bro, once you got to Brock Purdy, you was playing with house money. Whatever happened was a plus to me, dog. Like, this is not what you was expecting. If I would have told you at the beginning of the season, hey, bro, Brock Purdy gonna go undefeated in the regular season for y'all, motherfuckers been like, huh? What? And so to get there against a preseason favorite, even if you had Brock Purdy, that's still like, God damn, we here. Bro, once you lose Brock Purdy, bro, it's nothing to be like, it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. It is frustrating as hell because you always gonna have that what if. But at the end of the day, just like I said with y'all last week, bro, this is not a failure of a season. It's not a lost season.
And
it's a missed opportunity, but it's not a failure of a season.
And I feel because, like you say, early season expectations, and then actually seeing, some of the results, and like I said, your expectations change or your hopes change. And like I said, I mean, Brock Purdy came in, he looked better than Jimmy G. So I can understand that them feeling, excited or optimistic of what they could do. And I mean, saying losing him, like you said, it lost all hope. But and for me, selfishly, I've been waiting for the controversy for this franchise because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm tired of my team being the only controversial team, getting all the headlines and all that.
Right.
I'm definitely, being petty. I wanted some controversy in San Francisco, So who's your quarterback next year? What would you do at quarterback?
What I'm doing, so I'm having an open competition.
Okay.
I'm giving Trey Lance the opportunity to win the job. Brock Purdy, when you come back from your elbow surgery, let's see if you could take it. But nobody, I'm not the depth chart. That number one spot, QB1 spot, that's gonna be empty.
This was the best case scenario for Trey Lance.
100%.
Because if it, like say, a lot of 49ers fans, when you hear him talk, they were still holding out hope that, Trey Lance, if Brock Purdy could do this, they feel that Trey Lance should be able to do it with just the draft pedigree, with the skill set that he's supposedly possessing. Right. They're hopeful that he should be able to still elevate the offense. So I can understand them having the optimism of what he can do because they haven't seen him. For me, I'm going to go back on this and I'm going to repeat the same thing I said in the offseason. When they brought Jimmy G back, I think that was, I said that was one of the dumbest decisions that they could do for that locker room. Lo and behold, obviously it was
best decision they could have made.
Obviously, because like I said, he suffered an injury and he stepped right in. They didn't miss a beat.
Right.
But then ultimately he got injured. But what I mean by that again, because the premise still stands. This defense is ready. You already said what Nick Bosa said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this defense has definitely been ready, and they've been ready for a while. So anybody that they had success with, they're going to ride with. So let's say, for example, that Trey Lance wins the quarterback battle. He's still going to be technically a rookie. It's going to be his first year actually starting. He's going to go through his lumps as well.
Of course.
But what if they go on a little skid? Next thing you know, that defense is going to be like, hey, look, bro, we didn't lose nothing with Brock Purdy. Why he not in the game?
But
it causes a controversy.
Yeah, but also I believe bro, Trey Lance only got to play one game. You know what I mean? And so
But
I believe, and so I also believe it's going to, even if they go on a skid, I believe it'll have to look like it's Trey Lance's fault. You get what I'm saying? Because you can go on a skid and just the other team just beats you. You know what I mean?
I mean, we know. I get exactly what you're saying.
And
but
so I believe
this defense could be feeling some type of. They could be feeling differently. Is what I'm saying, because a lot of them didn't want to move on from Jimmy G. They just accepted moving on from Jimmy G.
And here's my thing: they go on a skid, cool. But if Trey Lance get them right back and they start winning games, they'll shut the fuck up.
I mean, winning cures all. I mean,
exactly. So it's just like, all right, cool, bro. Like, yeah. We're gonna stick with our guy. And I believe that locker room has bought into Kyle Shanahan. So look, hey, if Trey Lance, he come back his ankle 100% stuff like that, you give him that opportunity to work with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, because I believe George Kittle wasn't George Kittle fighting an injury when Trey Lance was playing? I think he had an ankle. Yeah. I think he had an ankle or something like that. So if Trey Lance could come, with a full complement of his weapons, he doesn't have to play a game in a monsoon or anything like that, and he can really showcase his talents. We'll see. But to me, I think you definitely got to. I'm not giving up on Trey Lance, but I'm also just not gonna say, hey, you're the starter because we drafted you high.
I would give up on Brock Purdy. I would definitely try to move him in there. Where's his value going? When is his value going?
That's why we on the same page. If I get an offer for Brock Purdy, I'm gonna move him.
I'm taking it.
If I get an offer from Brock Purdy, I'm gonna move him.
That's a quick flip.
If ain't nobody offering me nothing for Brock Purdy, hey, y'all come in here and y'all gonna battle it out. And quite honestly, then like I said, then if anything, you got a cheap backup, but I think you got to go with if you're gonna let Trey Lance go, you're gonna have to go with the old Jaguars formula. Josh Johnson gonna have to be your backup. You're gonna have to get a whole roster of black backups, my boy. Can't have Brock Purdy or nobody sitting behind Trey Lance, because if he does slide, they're gonna be calling for him. If you got Josh Johnson back there, they're like, oh shit, we got Josh Johnson.
I mean, like you said, he got lucky with a Brock Purdy. Like you said, 7th round pick, Mr. Irrelevant. He got lucky getting him. I would try that again, bro. Like I said, if anybody called me for Brock Purdy, bro, you can have him. Like,
yeah,
because
if you watch a lot of those games, it wasn't like Brock Purdy was just out there, just making shit happen. He was like, if you could tell a lot of that, like Kyle Shanahan was helping his mans out. Yeah. So you y'all, like we've said it before, these other coaches don't do that. So you throw that boy out there, we gonna see what Brock Purdy really is.
At the same time, as dismissive that are we making it sound, it's still not as easy as it is, because, like I said,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because they had some
helps.
They had some quarterbacks, when Jimmy G was getting hurt, that could not do the same thing that Brock Purdy did.
And but they also had some like they did it for a game or two. Like, hey, shit, like Nick Mullins, he won them a couple. You know what I mean? So
he also lost them a couple too.
He lost them a couple too. But what I'm saying, is, like, you just, when it comes down to it, he's able to help you out. That's all I'm saying.
It's going to be still interesting all season. I'm a couple 49er fans, they ready to go get Tom Brady, bring him home, and all of that. And we've seen it in the group. A lot of them, multiple have said it in the group. They say we got enough cap space to keep all 3 quarterbacks. I'm like, okay, cool, do y'all thing. Like I said, I'm going to be locked in. for this controversy. I love it. Glad it's not my team. Everybody love it when it's my team. Hey,
100%.
But shouts out to the 49ers, man. Don't hold your head up. Like you said, you was already playing with house money, like AJ said. All right, let's get to AFC Championship. We get to the Kansas City Chiefs, versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And I feel that I felt we were robbed from a potential classic. Felt like some of the calls were just egregious. Felt like we shouldn't be. I hate any game where we have to discuss the refs. I want it to be mano y mano. I want it to be Mahomes versus Burrow, and we were getting glimpses of that. We were seeing Mahomes throw a dime. We were seeing Burrow come back throw a dime. We seen Burrow throw a pick. We seen Mahomes fumble. We were seeing a tale of two, like who can make a play, and it was coming down to the wire of, like I say, even with the penalties, even like say it was a penalty, referees were involved. You say what you want. I didn't have a dog in the fight, but it felt like we got robbed. And like I said, Joseph Asai, that penalty was, it was a penalty. It is what it is.
It's a penalty.
No way around that. But even before then, like I said, being in that moment, it just felt like, oh man, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see an overtime game. We're gonna really see, what Mahomes could do. We can really see if Burrow is, is he ice cold as they say? Is he really shiesty? Everybody was at a disadvantage. Offensive line for the Bengals was definitely at a disadvantage. Losing receivers left and right for Burrow. Not for Burrow, for Mahomes. So it's kind of like it was okay. You lost one, I lost one. We, it was kind of
a battle of attrition.
Yeah. So who could be that one? It was like, okay, it just felt like we just got robbed. And but another thing that I did say last week when they said it had nothing to do with football, like it's a lot of pride. You can see that the reaction of how they reacted after the game. Dudes smoking cigars, everybody responding to Eli Apple. But they're making notice of Burrow head. Don't ever say that again. Like they heard everything. They heard everything of responding to the mayor. So they took everything.
I hope he don't ever get elected again. That was the dumbest shit. It was so crazy. I loved all of the trash talking.
Yeah.
I loved all of that. But when he said that, I immediately sent it to you and I was like, bro, like what the fuck is this, dog?
Yeah, this made no sense.
This shit was trash. That was the only thing said that I did not like. Everything else, I loved it.
And you could tell, and you text me during the game, they running the hook and ladder. Like they nervous. And
yeah.
And I took that. I'm like, yeah, they definitely tired of losing, because like I said, it's a pride thing. They've been losing at home to the same exact team. Nah, it doesn't have this football is out the window. Like I said, this is personal, just like Joe said. And obviously, he's a Chiefs fan, but Spagnuolo had a good game plan defensively.
And Zach did not. And that's one thing I told you previously. Zach Taylor, I won't say he got out-coached, but his game plan was terrible. Because to me, he fell into, he gave into what the Chiefs wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow had 50 dropbacks. Absolutely not. No way, no how should you have 50 dropbacks when your offensive line is, beat the hell up. I don't care if early on Eli played great. I don't get when people say he deserves.
No, because like you say, he talks a lot of trash, bro.
Yeah. So, all right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So what?
You know how it go, bro. He talks a lot. He talks a lot. If you got it,
he backed it up.
But y'all lost, so
that's cool.
That don't matter.
That's cool. Yeah. I get that. But so my thing is, Zach Taylor got out coached because he had 50 dropbacks when you can't protect. And Joe Mixon wasn't effective, but Samaje Perine was. And to me, at that time, it's like, we here to win. It's not about feelings. So I'm keeping Samaje Perine on the field because guess what? he's the better blocking receiver. I mean, the blocking back anyway. So now if I keep him on the field, I can more fluidly run my game where it's like if I drop back and pass, I have him in pass protection, but then also we can, play the run off of that as well. And I think you minimize some of those dropbacks, you minimize some of those opportunities for those deflating plays. And also you minimize the ability for Chris Jones to say, all right, let me get in my sprinter stance. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like it's a meeting at the quarterback, y'all. I'll be there at 2:30. You know what I'm saying? So I think it allows, guys to kind of push forward and not really be on their heels, and it allows you to kind of be aggressive. And so I don't think that Zach Taylor stuck with his game plan. To me, that couldn't have been his game plan coming in. And I feel like this is what I talk about with Zach Taylor. Sometimes he doesn't have a feel for the game. And I feel like I think he felt the game was further apart than what it was. Like the game was, to me, there was never a point in the game where I was like, oh, nah, we gotta really, start pushing it down the field and make some plays immediately. Because when you look at it, damn near when they would do the wide view on some of our route concepts, you would see corner with a safety over top over Ja'Marr Chase, corner with a safety over top over T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd was out. So when it's like he's out, with Tyler Boyd's out, which is that third option, yeah, you got Trenton Irwin. But it's Trenton Irwin, dog. He's had some really, impressive games, but it's the AFC Championship. This is when you need your players. And so we didn't run the ball and force them to be like, y'all gonna have to get out of this, this bracket coverage that y'all in. And so here's the thing, Joe, he said, like you say, Burrow that dude, chase that dude, but why didn't they use Higgins more? I mean, I have to disagree with that. I mean, because when you actually look at the target breakdown and stuff like that, T. Higgins led the team in targets. T. Higgins had 11 targets. Ja'Marr Chase had 6, I think. So Ja'Marr Chase had 8. I'm sorry. He had 6 catches. So it looks like T. Higgins wasn't getting used, but T. Higgins was the leading, the target getter, but y'all had that bracket coverage on him. And you look at some of our biggest plays, that 3rd 16 to Ja'Marr Chase, that's in double coverage. Great play. The touchdown to T. Higgins, double coverage. What T. Higgins does, he dunks on people. He goes up, high points it, and there's nothing you could do. But then the interception is double coverage. And if it's single coverage, it might a number of things happen. Joe probably throws it a little bit short, let T. Higgins go up to get it. But you got a man trailing, so he tries to fit it in there. It gets tipped up, and the guy trailing literally it doesn't drop. It doesn't get batted forward. It literally gets batted right behind him, right into his hands. You know what I mean? So it's just like he used what was there, and then his clock is also sped up because he's getting sacked and he's getting pressure. Like just the right side of the line, I believe, gave up 16 pressures that game.
That's nasty work. 16
pressures out of 50 dropbacks. You get what I'm saying?
And it was crazy. Like last week, I'm like, yo, use the same exact game plan that y'all used against Buffalo. This is exactly what Joe was expecting. Definitely expecting y'all to blitz more and for y'all to run the ball more. I don't definitely necessarily know if y'all wanted to blitz, because I know
we were never gonna blitz more. Like
in the game
that's not our style.
But that's what I think that's what Chris was asking for. I think he was asking for in the game there. Chris Brooks, fourth man.
Yeah.
He was asking for in the game there, like, bro, why are we not blitzing him more? Because obviously, Mahomes is hobbled. Like, why are we just letting him, do his thing? But the run game was definitely non-existent. But I mean, the run game been kind of inconsistent all year. But which I showed in Buffalo, I felt that y'all could have definitely tried to duplicate, and y'all didn't. And like I said, I mean, but still, y'all still had a chance after all that.
And that's what I'm saying. If we run the ball, I believe some of that pressure gets alleviated, because you can't just continue to just like, bro, we gonna go after him, and we'll take the hit if he runs it and he runs past us because he'll only break it for 4 or 5 yards. But if you doing that, like if you get like, I believe Samaje Perine was averaging like 4 yards a carry, you give him 10 more carries, that's 40 extra yards that you're getting. Now Spags is gonna have to play a little bit different. He can't unleash Chris Jones like he wants to. He can't just say, hey, look, they can't block R4 with 5. So just go get the passer. They can't do that because now they have to be disciplined in their rush lanes and allow them to, and allow Joe to kind of, do like some run pass. Like I didn't see the RPOs that I wanted to, like a lot of that. So a lot of our game plan, to me, it felt like we overthought it.
And it happens. It happens more times than not. But
you know why? And to me, that happens when you don't lose, because it's like, do we switch our game plan, or do we do what's been working? How can we try and surprise them? Because the loser is always going to adjust, and they're going to make tweaks. But when you win, it's like, what do we want to adjust? Because at the end of the day, some things are working. So I just think that.
I mean, but on the
all I'm gonna say is like, we lost, but it's not like, to me, I don't feel like I look at this like this is some like failure where it's like, bro, how did we lose this game? This and that. Bro, it's the fucking Chiefs, dog. They've been here 5 years in a row.
And it
you
showed.
Know what I mean?
And it showed. Like you say, losing receivers that they lost. I think revamping the game plan. MVS is just going crazy. Like say, Travis Kelce is still Travis Kelce, man. I mean, God damn, man. But I mean, Mahomes, obviously hobbled at times. But he still showed you that he was God's hand, man. It was just that they showed you, like you say, when they're at that point, you got to go beat them. Like you got to go beat them, and you got to go make them, you adjust. You got to just make them uncomfortable. And at no point did they ever really feel uncomfortable. I think they just felt that, like, okay, just settle down, we can get it. But they never really felt that pressure. Like, okay, y'all kept coming back. Y'all tied the game up, and say the game was close. I'm not saying that it was a blowout, but at the same time, as you say, like, I never felt that we was ready out the game, that we couldn't run the ball. I think they was on the same time, like, okay, just settle down. Yeah, they made a play. Just settle down. You know who we are. We know what we do. We've been here before. Let's handle business. And that's exactly what they did.
And to be quite honest, I don't think either team panicked for real.
Absolutely not.
I don't think either team panicked, because both teams felt like, hey, bro, like, this is a game. This is what we expected.
Yeah.
Literally every single game has come down to the same thing. Field goal, 3 points, every single game. So it's just like, yo, this is what this game is. The two best teams in the AFC. And yeah, like, bro, do you know how hard, like, every single time that we played them, do you know how hard it is to beat a team 2 times in a row? Can the Bengals really beat the Chiefs 2 times in a row?
Yeah.
Can the Bengals beat the Chiefs 3 times in a row? And they do it. Can the Bengals be like? And so to me, it's just like,
that's the reason I picked them at some point. Like I said, at some point, they have to,
And so to me, it's just like, hey, bro, like, another great game, and I believe it's going to be another great game in a long line of many. And as I'll read that, Joe, our guy Joe, who's a Chiefs fan, he says, "Nah, much respect. I hate the Bengals because y'all are dead ass our kryptonite." And that's another reason why I didn't mind the trash talk from either side. Just like when Eric Reed was talking earlier in the season, or last year when Eli Apple was talking to Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman and stuff like that, because I feel like these are two teams that are going to see each other, often. And like I told Hill, like off mic, I like this shit. Restore the feeling. Let's compete. And you saw after the game, this time, the Chiefs. I'm gonna put it like this: as a Bengals fan, the loss hurt, of course, but hearing the Chiefs respond like that made me feel like, oh, we're truly competitors. They truly see us as competitors because they see this as a rivalry now because they responding to us. They heard all of this. Bro, when it's somebody that you like that's not a threat or like a one-hit wonder, you're not caring about that. You know what I mean? And so a lot like, and one of the things I keep talking about is people keep talking about Bengals going Bengals, still the same old Bengals, this and that. No, it's not, because the top dog in this league for like in the AFC for a while, they see us, they notice us. And I'm not saying that this is some moral victory. What I'm saying is, for me, this is what like I expected from this season. I didn't come in this season saying, oh, it's Super Bowl or bust. I came in this season to show that we are truly contenders for like perennial, contenders. And we did that. We showed that this wasn't a fluke. We haven't this is our first loss since Halloween.
Yeah.
And in that span, we lost Jamar Chase for a month. In that span, T. Higgins was hurt. In that span, we've literally lost 3 offensive linemen back to back to back. We went in there and went against, people who thought was going to take Patrick Mahomes' crown, and we smoked them. So yeah, I would love to be playing in the Super Bowl, but hey, bro, look, man. Any of that shit that y'all talking to me about, Bengals going Bengal, oh, we did this and that, bro, none of that shit affect me, because look, I went 31 years and never seen a playoff victory, and I just seen 2 AFC championship games. Bro, y'all can't tell me nothing, bro. I ain't hearing none of y'all, especially none of y'all from the couch, dog. I don't care how many Super Bowls y'all got in y'all past. I don't care about what y'all did to us in the playoffs before. I don't care about none of that, because at the end of the day, now y'all still got to come see us.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I was feeling, some type of way, but I had to take a step back. I'm like, you know what? This is division rivalry stuff. That's they got to deal with it. Like I said, I got to deal with my own divisional hate. So I'm like, let me sit back and just watch. But I mean, it was definitely fun and entertaining. The banter, to go back and forth. But I mean, like you said, y'all are here to stay. And it's gonna be a thing. So I know next week that we definitely gonna go in depth. Hopefully, we all 3 will be here, and we can definitely give our Super Bowl picks a full breakdown before it happens. Because it should be. Hopefully, it's a good one. I mean, God.
Yeah,
please.
I think it'll be a good one.
I hope, man.
Yeah, I just think the offense is on both sides to hold up.
Yeah, but this is episode 182. Y'all know y'all can catch us on all major podcast platforms. 3Man Weave, Instagram, Twitter, 3Man Weave _. You can email us at podcast.3.man.weave@gmail.com. I'm Hill. That's AJ. Shouts out to Cannon and shouts out to the Fours.
Who they, baby?
We out. Where you supposed to hit in?